What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2. It is time for another defense spotlight, and today we're going to take the other side of things. Yesterday we took a look at flame auras and some lane clearing power. Today we're going to take a look at that boss killing single target damage. Now, of course, when it comes to bosses, the best thing you can do is use heavy hitting single target defenses. A few of them that really excel at this are cannonballs. The Mystic Sand Vipers do really well. If they weren't limited by having only one beam hitting per target, the Sand Vipers would be an absolute beast. Hornet's Nest can do really well, although it's not designed as a single target tower and it does have some buggy AI. With the right build, you can make just about all of these harder hitting single target defenses do really well against boss lanes. However, my personal favorite is without a doubt the Lightning Strike Ara. Now, one of the general rules that I personally usually go with, and like I said, once again, there's lots of different defenses you can use, but what I personally do anytime I hit an Omega Wave is I'm going to go either cannons or ballistas, normally cannons, on a Spellbreaker lane, and then Lightning Strike Aras absolutely everywhere else. Lightning Strike Aras can be beast. You can take full advantage of the triple anti-stacking on them, which we'll go into here in a moment, and it just makes them completely wreck bosses. At Chaos 8, triple stacked, a Lightning Strike Ara with 3 60% anti-mods is going to do over 4 times damage. Of course, the anti-mods do stack in a multiplicative nature, which means they are compounding on top of each other, and it just leads to massive damage. Now, I like to use my Lightning Strike Aras, as my boost Ara, essentially, with a destructive pylon in it. However, for the most possible damage you can get on it, you're not going to want to take that route. So, taking a look at the Lightning Strike Ara build I use, right now, I go with Vampiric Empowerment, Destructive Pylon, and a Defense Rate. Now, as I mentioned, Destructive Pylon is, of course, I'm using it as kind of like a mini boost aura. If we got rid of that and instead we threw in Destruction, or ideally Mass Destruction, in fact, if you were going to take that route, then one of the best things you could do is get rid of Vampiric as well and stack Mass Destruction and Destruction. So best in slot would be Mass Destruction, Destruction, and Defense Rate. I'm not using my Mass Destruction on my Lightning Strike Aras really ever, so I'm going to go with Vampiric Empowerment, Destruction, and Defense Rate. Now, when it comes to anti-mods, you have to pick which anti-mods you want to work against what bosses. The 3 that I go to are anti-mini-boss, anti-melee, and anti-chaos. Now, before everybody throws it in the comments below, yep, of course, you can swap out anti-chaos for controller servo, and that would work just fantastic. However, you're then limiting it to making sure you have some sort of crowd control in the area, which is never a terrible idea anyway. However, the reason I like to take this build is it also works when I'm using my Destructive Pylon on normal lanes as well, because I'm getting the benefit of the anti-melee and the anti-chaos against all those pesky mobs like the Berserker Lady Orcs, the Cyborgs, any of those mobs that are melee and chaos are just going to get whacked right in the face with these LSAs, no doubt about it. So pick the 3 anti-mods you want the most. Obviously, if you're going to use them for Omega Waves, anti-mini-boss is kind of a no-brainer. So many of the mobs are melee mobs, it makes anti-melee kind of a no-brainer. My favorite for the third is, once again, anti-chaos. Controller servo would work great as well. Now, one of the reasons we're able to stack 3 anti-mods, our Lightning Strike Aras just have such amazing range naturally. Just using the range gambit in your Ascension, you get really good range out of them, and it makes it so that you can free up that shard slot and get increased power on them instead. Now, of course, you are going to want to get down to the speed cap, so you're going to want a defense rate shard that's gilded. If you don't have a gilded defense rate and you've got regular defense rate, then you're going to want to lose one of your anti-mods and throw a defense rate servo on there as well. Now, once you get that gilded defense rate, of course, you can always swap that mod out later down the road. And then, of course, if you have a 10 of 10 defense rate and you put it on there and get it to Chaos 8, then you wouldn't need the defense rate shard. However, you are going to want to get down to that attack rate cap, which is once per second. Now, if we look at the setup with the build I'm using here, they're doing 2 million damage per whack. Now, 2 million damage per whack, completely unbuffed in any way, means we take that all the way up to Chaos 5, which is another huge benefit of the Lightning Strike Aras. The amount of improvement you get on your defenses when you upgrade them are based on how much DU they cost. So you are going to double your tier 1 damage with every upgrade. So if we just upgrade it once, we're going to see now they're doing over 4 million. If we upgrade it again, it should be over 6 million. And then keep on going with the upgrades. We're at 8 million, getting it all the way up to tier 5, and we're now doing 10.5 million damage per attack. Now remember, we've got our triple stacking anti-mods. So if we're doing 10 million damage per attack, and if it is a melee mini-boss that's also chaos, like say Nash or Thork, then you are going to be doing 4 times damage to those mobs, which means your Lightning Strike Aras, unbuffed right now, are hitting for 40 million damage. So 40 million damage once per second. Obviously the mobs are going to burn down super quick, and since you didn't go too crazy on the range, these are very stackable and can fit inside of one boost aura, which makes them even better if you choose to take that route. So Lightning Strike Aras are beast. You can use them in every single lane. If you have Destructive Pylon, I definitely encourage everyone to throw Destructive Pylon on here. The main thing with Destructive Pylon is you want it to have it in a 20 DU defense. Lightning Strike Ara sand traps are kind of the natural go-tos. You could also use explosive traps if you really wanted to, or even the oil geyser from the Lavamancer. The Lightning Strike Ara and the sand trap are definitely my favorites out of the two, just because of the coverage and effectiveness they give. However, when you do this, remember that destruction, as it says right on the tooltip, will not stack with Destructive Pylon. So you're going to want to throw Vampiric in there as your secondary damaging shard in the mix. Now, that just brings the Lightning Strike Ara to just massive utility. And as you see, instead of doing 2 million damage, now I'm only doing 1.89 million. However, I'm going to buff everything else that I put around that Lightning Strike Ara. So that makes it just a huge benefit as a utility defense and an overall just lane burner as far as the heavier mobs and then those Game Ogre or Omega waves as you progress through Onslaught. As far as Ascension goes, you would stick with your standard builder Ascension. You always want to go defense crit chance first, then go defense crit damage. After that, go right into your lightning range gambit as you're bringing them up through the tiers. The most important thing in the defense category is without a doubt the defense speed. After that, you're going to want to go into the lightning aura damage for some increased power on them. Now, as you're coming up through the tiers, remember, defense rate is your friend, so get as close to the defense rate cap as you can. In fact, I'm going to say I personally would probably prioritize that over the defense power. So if you had to get rid of an anti-mod, if you only have a normal defense rate, you're going to want to go with a rate shard and a rate mod. Now remember, with any defense, there's lots of different shards and there are lots of different mods in the game. So go through and customize your defenses so that they're working out the best for you. We all have the enemy that we like the least. Make sure that that's the enemy you're focusing on killing. So that will do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments below if you have any questions or concerns about your Lightning Strike Aras. and how to build them up right. However, that will do it for now. Thank you once again, and I will see ya next time around. Take it easy.